Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Football's over. We got all this extra time to do chores and get our life back together, or we can watch this Bachelor Nation video. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. What a shot that was fired today. A fashionista calls out Madison Prewett for supporting one of the, I guess, least ethical fashion companies in the world. We'll talk about Shein and this Chinese-based company and the unethical practices that they have. What is fast fashion? I don't know any of this stuff. I got a V-neck t-shirt on, which, by the way, I checked is made from Hurley and has a 3 out of 5 star rating as far as ethics go. What does that mean? I don't know. There's a lot of questions we have. Whenever we take a ethical or moral superiority to someone, and by this I mean calling out Maddie because she is cashing in on a company that has bad practices, don't forget, we can all be called out. I have an iPhone. They make these in China. They have nets around the building so people don't jump to their death because they're probably paid at barely above slave labor, and we don't use that term lightly. Now, that doesn't mean we can't educate ourselves on what fast fashion is, why it's bad for us, not just as a world environmentally speaking, but also slave labor and things like that. Let's just get right into this story. It's pretty fascinating. Here's Mac in Style with with a TikTok explaining the hypocrisy of Maddie. And we say hypocrisy because she preaches Christianity. And when you preach Christianity, you probably shouldn't be supporting a company that may have slave labor. Let's just have a listen.
POV, you believe God gave you an influencer platform so that you could tell people about the word of Jesus Christ, and instead you do a Shein collaboration. The company with the most human rights violations of anyone ever.
Ooh, double eye roll. Did you catch the double eye roll at the end? Let's watch the double eye roll.
The company with the most human rights violations of anyone ever.
2. Oh, what a good one. Good double eye roll there. Now listen. Some might say I'm doing the Lord's work. We're not going to have a Christian measuring contest here, folks. So we're going to pump the brakes on just hating on Maddie. But don't get me wrong, other people will do that in the comment section for you. Well, to be fair, it does track with the evangelical Christianity behavior. And I think what they're implying is that there's a lot of profiteering that happens within the Christian world. You know, the Joel Osteens and the other mega churches, the jet flying and this and that doesn't truly help our neighbors that are poor. I mean, we live in a country that is considered one of the richest in the world, and yet at the same time we have poverty, we have black mothers that their children are dying at a rate that is equal to a third world country. We've got people that can't afford their insulin. We've got a crippling Medicare system. I mean, we have a lot of it. Well, why don't you move out here? Well, why don't we fix the problem at home? And part of the problem is, where do we put our money, right? So we're going to get into this story very deeply, and it kind of relates to a Dave Neal show story that I did. Now, Dave Neal's show is non-Bachelor related content. I made 2 stories in the last 11 days, as you see here. American Eileen Gu wins gold for China, but did Chinese Olympic Committee poach her? And then why it's problematic that she's making so much money abroad when the Olympics are about supporting your team. Now, some people might see this and go, "Ooh, Dave, why are you going to touch this story? This is kind of racist." No, it's not. Eileen Gu is from California. She was born and raised here and also trained and grew up learning how to ski in Lake Tahoe. And some say, well, if you don't make your Olympic team here, you're allowed to compete somewhere else. We know Marlena competed in the 2012 Olympics for Haiti, right? Well, Eileen Gu was the prodigy, Tiger Woods of skiing, what she does. She's been known for a long time to be the best at what she does. She just won 2 golds and 1 silver for China and will be heading back to the United States to compete for Stanford. Now, I don't want to get too far into this story. I've already got 40 minutes on this story right here, but it's interesting to look at. Did she have to lose her U.S. citizenship to compete for China? We know China doesn't allow dual citizenship. A lot of questions unanswered. She's modeling in China and has, something like 40 different gigantic campaigns, and she's made $30 million at the age of 18. And you just go to wonder, are we so quick to just sell our ethical soul to the highest bidder? And that's the question we ask. And when it comes to products like Shein, we wonder, what is fast fashion? You know, are we just ordering something on our phone and it's arriving and not considering it? And I don't know much about this. My fiance works in fashion and it's kind of explained a little bit of it to me, but let's discuss it. I'll read a couple articles because we could spend our time, hating on Madison Prewett. By all means, I'll get comments. Dave, why do you hate Madison Prewett? We're going to shift the conversation to something a little bit more productive, and that is knowledge. Knowledge, right? What is it? Sunlight's the greatest disinfectant. I think I've said that 4 days in a row now. Do I get an award? Let's define fast fashion and discuss why we need to to slow down. Fast fashion is a buzz phrase in the sustainability world. But what does the term really mean? As we continue to encourage the industry to move towards a more sustainable and ethical future, it's helpful to know what we're up against. Fast fashion is a design, manufacturing, and marketing method focused on rapidly producing high volumes of clothing. Garment production utilizes trend replication in low-quality materials in order to bring inexpensive styles to the public. These cheaply made, trendy pieces have resulted in an industry-wide movement towards overwhelming amounts of consumption. Unfortunately, this results in harmful impacts of the environment, garment workers, and ultimately consumers' wallets. Now, I used to have a bit that I would do talking about marriage material, right? Like, everyone's like, oh, that guy's marriage material. And you start to wonder, what does marriage material mean, right? Like, marriages fail half of the time. You'd be lucky if a marriage lasts 2 years at this point. Marriage material should be the same material they use to make H&M t-shirts. Because as we know, if you spend $5 on an H&M t-shirt, it's probably going to break down within a year, just like your marriage, Sally Carson. All right, folks? The point is that, and also we live in a world where our money doesn't go as far. It used to be a guy could support his family by working at Sears on a 9 to 5, and they'd have a white picket fence and a house. A lot of we're just trying to penny pinch down to our tiny little profit margin. So we're going to go globally to where the cheapest products are. And we go, that looks nice. I mean, before we even get any farther, look at this Shein, am I pronouncing it right? Shein dress, $18. Are you kidding me? What? That's like free. Who wouldn't want to buy this? Now, of course, we realize why people shouldn't. To better understand and define fast fashion, let's first familiarize ourselves with the movement's history and context. So up until the mid-20th century, fashion industry ran on 4 seasons a year: fall, winter, spring, and summer. Designers would work many months ahead to plan for each season and predict the styles they believed customers would want. This method, although more methodical than fashion today, took away agency from the wearers. Before fashion became accessible to the masses, it was prescribed to high society, and there were rules to be followed. It wasn't until the 1960s that a well-timed market campaign for paper clothes proved consumers were ready for the fast fashion trends. All right, so and again, I see this with stand-up comedy. It used to be you'd spend several years or even a decade building up your stand-up material and then release it in a special. And now it's like, grab your DSLR camera or your iPhone, shoot your content when it's ready at a club, and just upload it. The news is fast, fashion is fast, everything in life is fast and globally reached to the day. You see someone wearing something at some event, you want to buy it the next day, and that comes at a cost. So is Shein ethical and sustainable? And by the way, if I'm pronouncing this wrong, I'm going to get 1,000 comments. But listen, I don't shop there. And again, not to take a moral superiority. Yes, I'm wearing Alo shorts. No, I don't know where they're made. I really don't. If they're made in Bangladesh, then that's on me. Because what I just learned today is that Bangladesh allows kids as young as 14 years old to legally work in these sweatshops. So they can say, we don't have child labor. Just a bunch of 14-year-olds. Those are adults. They're smoking cigarettes. They're talking about, you know what I mean? No. Guys, we got a big problem. And I think we need some sort of subsidy to buy American. And this kind of sounds right-wing in today's wild world, to be like, we need to be pro our own country. We need to support our own designers and our own manufacturers. Detroit, a good buddy of mine lives in Detroit. All these buildings have just kind of gone to despair. There's nothing going on there. Why don't we store KN95 masks there? Why don't we store pandemic materials there for the next pandemic whenever it comes? Why don't we produce our fashion there? Well, because it's cheaper to do it abroad. So we need to find some way to tax multinational corporations or tariff them, whatever we can do to bring those jobs home. Even if it costs more to the consumer, we need to bring that money back so we can do it ethically, because we need to vote with our dollar. These are just things we need to do. I don't think individuals will do that when we're operating at such a low profit margin. We're barely surviving, folks. If your daughter has to go to a prom, I know she wouldn't buy this dress, but wouldn't you do this over nothing? You'd be like, all right, I'm all about moral stuff, but I can't afford it, so it comes at a cost, right? So individuals cannot necessarily be trusted to make these decisions when it's just a click away to pause whatever ethical dilemma you might have had. So how sustainable is Zara? While the brand's affordability and size inclusivity has been praised, I'm sorry, that's a different topic. So the brand's affordability and size inclusivity has been praised by some. Others have expressed concern about Shein's legitimacy, and some of its product choices have also been called into serious question. So they got so many products that they've come under fire for so many different reasons. And you might go, all right, let's just curb it on the the money, the cost, and all that. Let's talk about other aspects of its ethics. Shein's ethics have been questioned time time and time again and for good cause. And again, like I said, I'm sure there's 1,000 other companies. It must be very tough. We know Rachel Lindsay was promoting Walmart, and I was like, well, Walmart is $1 billion. They owned by billionaires, the Waltons, right? And most employees at Walmart are living off of government assistance because they can't even like work full time and earn a livable wage, right? So we have to understand that we have problems at home as well. At home as Walmart's a company, from Indiana? I don't know where it's from. Where are the Waltons from? Either way, like I said, they're billionaires and their employees can barely make enough money to survive and have to live off of government assistance. If you love Walmart and you love shopping there, I hope you support social democracy because our tax dollars are funding Walmart's ability to barely pay their employees. But it's legal. They pay them a minimum wage. Let's rethink the minimum wage. And that's where I'm coming in to talk about the next... Okay. Study Breaks offers Bangladesh as an example where children as young as 14 are able to work so Shein could legitimately employ teenagers yet still claim to be against child labor. Can you imagine if 14 is not a child? Oh my gosh. All right, so while it audits some of its supply chain, Shein offers no transparency about what percentage. All right, so it's not looking good. Shein is falling short of modern slavery reports. They have these new rules in the UK that you have to show where... your supply chain. You have to show what you're spending your money on, on all these different things. And Shein just hasn't done that. They haven't proven it. So it's not to say that they're operating slave labor, but they haven't proven that they're not. And these rules exist because companies will operate in slave labor. Look at your Nikes. All right, so how ethical is Shein? One of the fastest growing online fashion retailers, Shein was founded in 2008, now boasts an Instagram account of 18 million. Environmental impact. They get our lowest score of very poor for the planet. Aside from using a couple of eco-friendly materials here and there, there's no evidence the brand is taking any meaningful action to reduce its substantial impact on the environment. From hazardous chemicals to carbon emissions to microplastics, Shein is making zero effort. Labor conditions. Should be no surprise that Shein makes as much effort for people as it does for the planet. Next to none. Rated very poor. Again, aside from auditing some percentage of its supply chain, is making no headway on improving its labor conditions. Animal welfare. I mean, it's just bummer. Overall rating, we avoid. Good swaps. So it shows you other, it's just, that's where they are, folks. So shining a light on Shein's unethical labor practices. In just a single week, Shein released 2 apologies for selling offensive items. On July 9th, a necklace in the shape of a swastika was posted on their site. The necklace was listed as metal pendant necklace and being sold for $2.50. The next day, Shein posted an apology to their social media pages. This is true, folks. This happened last year, right? Sorry we let you down. Let me just slide this over. Sorry we let you down. My bad. Oops, I did it again. To our dear community, we made a gigantic mistake by selling a product that's hurtful and offensive to many of you. To many of you! And we're so sorry. Here's what happened. We listed a Buddhist swastika necklace for sale. There's simply no excuse for our lack of sensitivity. And I know, well, the Buddhism swastika is just a way. Listen, starting in the 1930s, 1940s, you no longer get to reference the Buddhist. Listen, the Buddhist swastika symbol was canceled along with the Nazis. Listen, what can you do? You can't, you know what I mean? That's just gone. Maybe someday you can bring it back, but maybe find another symbol, move a couple things around, There's simply no excuse. Doi. The Buddhist symbol has stood for spirituality and good fortune until the 1940s, and for more than 1,000 years until the 1940s has been a different design than the Nazi swastika, which stands for hate. But frankly, that doesn't matter because we should have been more, like the fact that they're trying to describe it. The only thing we can do is profusely apologize and reassure you that we're going to make major internal changes, like hiring more 14-year-olds. We recently established a committee to review products before they're sold and promise to work even harder in the coming days to improve our product selection process. We will also cease the sale of any religious items on our site. We know we have a lot of work to do and deserve to do. They were also doing a Islamic prayer rug. They were selling that as like a fashionable rug. They're just throwing shit at the wall, folks. So anyway, when it comes to Madison, I don't expect her to know all this, but I think it's a good thing that we call it out. And again, I'm not going to be so unfair to say to leave some of the comments that others have left, but we'll read a couple. The vibe I get from Maddie is she cares a lot more about feeling morally superior than she does in living out the Christian doctrine of living a life of poverty and helping the less fortunate. Which again, I don't agree with living a life of poverty. I think there's plenty of abundance out there. Her comment, God gave us child labor. I really want to know who out there is still buying crap from Shein after all that has come to light in the last few years. A lot of women who buy from them and generally have no idea they're a shit company. I don't know how they don't realize. I'm not judging you if you didn't know this. I'm not judging you at all. Why is anyone surprised by this? If you follow her, you quickly get the impression that Maddie Prewett only cares about Maddie Prewett. But blessed are those who are persecuted. To be fair, exploiting and profiting off of developing nations' communities is very Christian. So the Shein shoe fits. If Christians stopped allowing shit like this to happen, then there wouldn't be any more persecuted to bless. Shake my damn head. I wouldn't say I hate Maddie, but her whole brand is basically acting morally superior to everyone else. Lucky for her, there's a whole segment of the population who believes her behavior and way of life is what a good Christian should be though, which is what prevents her from getting an influx of hate that she otherwise would get for her personality if she wasn't spreading God's message. If she was an atheist, people would hate her, to be honest. I don't disagree with that comment. I will say this, I'm going to lean on the side of Maddie's probably living in her own echo chamber and is sort of ignorant to all of this. And when you do feel like you are being persecuted, it does write off a lot of the issues. Now, that's the same thing with the Eileen Gu situation, right? Everyone goes, oh, leave her alone. She chose to compete for China. And you go, and it's like people are afraid to comment on things because they think it might be racist. Now, Bill Maher made a whole video about this Friday, just 2 days ago. And again, I've got the receipts here that I made this video 11 days ago. Not to say that I have an original take on it, just that when you're following the money, you can really see some nefarious things going down. Maddie obviously was able to make some good money as an influencer promoting Shein when there are people that are probably working at or below slave labor wages to make those products happen. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear another opinion if you disagree with me. 401-213-9828. Everyone have a fantastic Sunday. We'll be back bright and early tomorrow for a full day of content and live streams. God bless. I'm out. Bye now.